Ohio State made it through most of preseason camp without a significant injury, but that streak ended Monday morning. Running back Evan Pryor probably going to miss the season now due to a significant knee injury. Nathan Baird and Stephen Means here from cleveland.com and Buckeye Talk. And just for starters, this is a frustrating thing for Evan Pryor, obviously, maybe first and foremost. A guy who, a redshirt freshman, didn't play much last year, got in 4 games, but you saw where his role was maybe going to grow this year. He was still third on the depth chart, but they like how dynamic he is. They like how multifaceted he is. And we were just hearing things. I mean, even Jack Sawyer today was talking about some of the things he was seeing from him in camp. Other coaches have been talking about what they've been seeing from him in camp, and now we're not going to get to see what that turns into in a game this fall.
Yeah, he was on track. You know, he knew he was going to come in year one and it'd be more of a developmental year, and physically he went through that growth, and it had gotten to the point where this year, whether it was on the record or off the record, people in this building were emphasizing the fact that Travion Henderson, Evan Pryor, and Mayan Williams were all going to play. Now, what that looks like, we would have found out against Notre Dame and throughout the rest of the season, but he was going to have some type of a role here. So, yeah, that's going to suck for him that now he's got to wait another year.
I think that role was going to be important, too, not just for this season. I mean, Ohio State has a great starting running back in Travion Henderson. They've got a very proven productive backup in Mayan Williams. But they needed to show Evan Pryor. They needed to demonstrate to him what they feel his value is and trying to get him on the field this year. Because when you look at this depth chart, it's a couple years away, but look at 2024 and what's going to be in this running back room. They kind of needed Evan Pryor to stay on that developmental course and to start building his own confidence and building belief, because he could be the guy in 2024, and that can still happen. So for his career, he can stay on that path and still make a huge impact in 2024. For this year's team, it also doesn't affect the top-end production of this room. They're still going to have those same 2 guys at the top, and they were already established at the top. The problem is that it leaves them with just no room for error as far as something else happened. And things did happen last year with Travion Henderson. Didn't miss any games, but had some bangs and bumps and bruises and the concussion symptoms he talked about. Mayan Williams did miss 3 games. So now, if something else were to happen, now you're looking at a true freshman in Dallin Hayden, who we've also heard good things about. But he's still a true freshman, not usually the kind of guy that Ohio State wants to shove right into. If you remember back to 2020, Mayan Williams didn't really get any chance at all until they were getting farther down that depth chart of people that they had to look at running back.
I think it's just interesting. Last year, we were asking Tony Alford all these questions about, you've got too many running backs. You had 6 running backs last year. 12 months later, Master Teague is gone. Marcus Crowley's career is over, at least as a football player, because he has a medical retire. Now you've just lost Evan Pryor. You were already at 3 scholarship running backs in the spring because Dallin Hayden wasn't here yet. The running backs are now in the same situation that the cornerbacks are in on defense, where it's the top end might be really good, as long as nobody gets hurt, because there is no depth whatsoever. And so it's going to be interesting to see now, especially with Travion Henderson. There might be some games this year, especially some of these MAC games and against Rutgers. If it's a blowout, he might not play in the second half, just because it was important to get him through the season last year because he was a true freshman. It's important to get him through the season this year because he's one of the best running backs in college football, and you can't afford for him to get hurt.
Yeah, Hayden might have been looking at a redshirt season before this. Now I think maybe they're going to have to play him more, want to play him more, just to get him involved in some of those games that Mayan Williams couldn't do in 2020. He would have maybe played more than he did in 2020, except the pandemic took away all the non-conference games. So Evan Pryor is still in good position to be a big part of this program in the future, but we're just not going to get to see this season what that means for Ohio State. More about this on Buckeye Talk, and get the text 614-350-3315.